Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Chatting the Pictures. My name is Cara Finnegan, and I'm a writer, teacher, and historian of photography.
And I'm Michael Shaw, the publisher of Reading the Pictures.
Hey, Michael, we're very political, national political focus this week, right?
Yeah, it's singularly. It's hard not to.
Yeah, especially in these times of shutdown.
Mm.
So shall we get to our next, or rather our first segment, which we call the news. And here, what we're interested in is how news photos tell a story. And certainly, maybe the story to top all stories this week was the story of Big Macs at the White House. Yeah?
Yep. The photo was taken by Joshua Roberts for Reuters. And this was quite a find, I think. The caption actually is pretty innocuous. I want to see what's here when we leave because I don't think it's going to be much, Trump said before the players dressed in dapper suits flooded the room and piled their plates high. The backstory, as most people know, is the Clemson University national championship football team visited the White House, and Trump, because of the shutdown, splurged, quote unquote, for lunch, and what he served was all fast food: McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, pizza. What I think is really outstanding about this photograph is that whereas most of the commentary, and there was a lot of it, was about Trump crazy or just the banality of the imagery, this photograph specifically shows a lot of African Americans, both working for the White House and also Clemson players. I think what it really does is capture the reason why. I think it focuses really on the racial politics when I don't think anybody really focused on that dimension of this at all.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, right, people made a lot of jokes about the fast food and Trump's love of fast food and Trump talking about this was great American food and right, all of that. But to me, this photo in particular, this is a shutdown image. I mean, we've been talking about shutdown images for the last couple of weeks on the show, and this is a shutdown image, right? It wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the shutdown. And as you point out, it plays out particularly in, with the figure of the server in the White House, doing her job, which in this case is to put Big Macs on a silver tray. In capturing this worker doing her job, it highlights again this real disconnect between what's happening with the shutdown and kind of what's happening in, Trump's the world of Trump's mind and the world of Trump's own narratives. And then that contrast again between the kind of workaday food and the opulence of the space. There's a number of contrasts that are at play here, but to me, this is a shutdown image.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I think race really is the elephant in the room here because what's the reason for the shutdown? Because of the creation of this xenophobic hysteria about Hispanic immigrants and shutting down the country. So it's an undertone that runs through this event and all the images of the event, and most of the images were more focused on Trump at the center of the table and with all the food. But this photograph really does also get at race, and how does that, and it's not a stretch either, because when you talk about the White House, not only is there a large preponderance of the staff there is Black and has been since the history intimately, better than I do, but then we've also got the issue of Clemson University being situated on a former cotton plantation tilled by slaves. That the racial demographic of that university is 83% white, 7% Black, 3% Hispanic. And I think what struck me when I first saw the photograph was this whole issue. And also we have Washington, D.C. and how the White House is really also an oasis in a majority Black district. And I looked at this and I just thought that the irony of like the food desert is what jumped out at me.
Yeah, that's also a really good point. And, a lot of people too were making contrasts with some of the programs to improve food in public schools that Michelle Obama helped to launch, these policy initiatives from that same room underneath that same portrait of Abraham Lincoln. So there's also kind of in the choice to do this sort of event, a kind of overthrowing of the Obama agenda as well. And I would also be remiss, I think, if I didn't talk about the painting, because I have a thing about paintings in the White House. I've done research on this. I know some
expert.
Yeah, and there, what I would just say is, that's a study of Lincoln that was made for another painting in the White House called "The Peacemakers," which depicted negotiations between Lincoln and among his generals toward the end of the Civil War. So we might want to say that and if we, again, read this as a shutdown image, there might be some way to think about not just the jokey contrast of Lincoln with Big Macs, but the contrast of, what does it mean to be a peacemaker and what does it mean to negotiate, right, in a time where not a whole lot of that is happening, for sure.
Not to mention that he's turning away from all of this, stuff going on, beneath him here at this point.
Yeah. So that wraps us up for this week.
Yep. Check us out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and we will be back again next week. And I'm sure, as we've been saying, there'll be plenty of material.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll see y'all soon.
Take care.